Of all the things in life, once this is gone, it's not only gone, but it's gone forever. I'm Dr. Joel Feeman, and as you may have guessed, today I'm going to talk with you about time and time management. If you're like most people, you've likely experienced those days where the busyness of life just kind of happens, and it happens quickly, and you found yourself where you've ran out of time. You've also likely experienced how quickly time can pass from year to year. So what can be done? Can anything be done to be able to increase the amount of time you have each day so you can get done the things that are most pressing, but also the things that will move you towards your optimal health and optimal life? Well, at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is having clear-cut goals on what you want your life to look like. The reason this is so important to have these clear-cut goals is it allows you to set control in terms of what you're doing to manage or steward your time so it's not being time wasted. In other words, when you have these goals, you can then set and prioritize the things that you do according to what's going to have the greatest impact and move you closer to the bigger picture. If, on the other hand, you don't have these clear-cut goals, you may find yourself caught up in the mundane things of life, almost as if you're stuck in quicksand, unable to make the progress that you really feel that you need to. Let's be honest, if you're finding yourself continually late for things, stressed about deadlines that you're missing, and it's having a negative impact on your life, then it might be the time to be able to first and foremost establish those goals and begin the process of laying out, once again, what's going to help you to move towards these goals, what's going to have the greatest impacts. So in other words, you can start to not look at things as though you're late and you're stressed out about the things that, quite frankly, don't even really matter in the big picture of life. You see, having poor management of time is what oftentimes will keep people back from reaching their goals, because as you may have experienced already, years can sometimes fly by. So very much like compound interest when it comes to wealth building, time management can also have a very similar effect in that if we keep those goals and we invest time wisely, even if it's little bit by little bit, but working towards those life goals that we have, over time it's going to produce the results that we're really after. So let's take a look at some of the habits that might be helpful at getting yourself on track when it comes to managing your time wisely. If you recall, a few weeks back, we talked about the importance of setting goals, as we've just mentioned. These goals can both be long-term as well as short-term goals. So if you were to take a moment and review some of those goals that you may have written down, what would it take today to move in the direction of those goals, whether it be a 5-year, a 3-year, or even maybe a 1-year goal? Because we're talking about the big picture of life and what we want not only today in our lives, but in all of our tomorrows. How are you doing with your morning and evening routines as well? Have you been working on establishing those healthy habits that can have that greatest impact that we've been talking about? You see, you have to remember that part of this is not just to bring the dream or the vision, the goal that we have, but to be able to manifest it in our lives. The first thing is to establish what that dream looks like, then to write down those goals and speak those goals along with those positive words and build the routines that you need. The reason being is because you're trying to take something that's intangible by putting it onto paper and starting to review and rewrite and modify and amend these different things. You're making these things conscious then for yourself, and the more you start to process these things, not just by the application of doing them and developing these habits, but those things then begin to manifest because now your subconscious is being programmed and wired for the things that you say that you want, but now you're putting action behind that. So now that we've established some of those basics, let's go ahead and hone it in and be more specific today. For the next week, my challenge to you is to take anywhere from 1 to 3 of your goals and focus on them. So write down some of those things that are moving you towards your long-term goals that you can not only write down and start to focus on now over the next week, but also set some time limits as to when you want to accomplish these particular goals. So for illustration or example purposes, perhaps you have been wanting to start a night class to learn something new about maybe a passion that you have or something you can do to increase your productivity at work or your specialty at work. So perhaps you want to do something like write down a goal and say, say, by 11 o'clock this morning, I'm going to call the school and register for that class that I've been putting off for so long. Maybe when it comes down to showing the attitude of gratitude and appreciation for somebody, you can also say, and before lunch, I'm going to send out one email to one of my friends to just let them know how much I appreciate them. And I'm going to basically make sure that that's taken care of before lunchtime. And perhaps also another goal would be that of reading 6 pages or maybe a chapter of the new book that you got before you check your emails and your Facebook in the evening time. Or perhaps you're going to read 6 pages or maybe the first chapter of the new book you wrote before you get on social media, watch TV, or check your emails. You see, setting yourself these particular little goals in timelines are one of the things that will help you to, once again, stay more focused and conscious as far as what you're trying to do to move yourself always in the direction of your goals. And so even though life happens sometimes and stresses will occur, at least you can always go back to those things and reconnect, course correct, and get right back on track. And it's rewarding once you see these things being accomplished, because now instead of procrastinating and putting things off, which really comes down to just a lack of value of what you really want, now we're going to hone it in and get somewhere with these particular goals. Let's face it, every day has enough going on already as it is. But as you stay laser focused on the bigger picture, prioritizing your goals can be one of the most effective and efficient tools to help you get the most out of each and every day and have that sense of fulfillment as you go. Otherwise, once again, if you don't have a goal, it's almost like you're drifting at sea and your time can be wasted. So although you're accomplishing perhaps a lot of different things throughout the day, those things, when it's all said and done, although they were things that were done, they're not things that have moved you or propelled you in the direction that really mattered for the big picture. So what are some things that you can do additionally to make sure that you're going in the right direction? Well, like them or hate them, one of the most important things and effective things you can do is create to-do lists. The reason these are so helpful for many people is the fact that just like writing down those specific goals, in reviewing those goals and hone those goals in, it really comes down to a state of consciousness. They've done studies, they say that nowadays our focus and our ability to stay concentrated on things is becoming less and less through the years. I've even seen a study that by Microsoft that said, our attention span now has dwindled down to it's about 8 seconds, and then our focus is completely on something different. So to have to-do lists is one of those things that, once again, love them or hate them, they can really help you to stay on track so you can constantly course correct once you realize that you're off focus. The way then to establish what you're going to do in terms of prioritizing that to-do list is to look at your list once you've written down the things that you want to accomplish and ask yourself the question, is this going to move me towards the bigger picture of my goals? Then to do the next thing, which of these is going to have the greatest impact today as well as for my tomorrows? You see, because there's always things that are going to matter, but then once again, as time goes on, we sometimes realize that all the things that we work towards really didn't have that big of an impact. But if we stay focused and stay conscious on those big things, the next thing you know, we're always putting time, energy, and resources, even finances, into the things that are really going to matter. And time matters. Now, technology is another thing that you can do to help yourself. Now, the other thing though with technology is that's a whole topic in and of itself, and it can either make you or it can break you. But in short, if technology is used properly, it can be a very valuable tool to help you to organize and manage your time wisely so you can become a good steward of your time. If, on the other hand, it's not done correctly, then many people will find themselves basically cruising through their day, not realizing how much time is being absolutely ridiculously wasted because they're on social media or cruising through emails and doing all these different things that to them seems productive, but then next thing you know, they've wasted 10, 15, 20 minutes. Even studies now show that the average person, is spending over 5 hours a day just doing it in basically mindless activities, whether playing games on the computer, surfing the internet, checking emails and things like that. 5 hours a day. So people are saying that I don't have enough time to do the things that I really want to do, but all along they have the same 24 hours that anybody else has, some of the most successful high achievers in the world. But the difference is being able to consciously recognize what you want your life to look like, and are the things that you're doing with your time helping you to go in the right direction, or are they actually keeping you in the direction that overall is making you depressed and miserable and unaccomplished with the things that you really want? You see, once again, many of the successful people, the high achievers in the world, they use the same devices that pretty much everybody uses. The difference being is that they're disciplined in terms of when they acknowledge and look at their things. They're very rarely just surfing the internet or checking Facebook and things like that, unless it's something that they've designated specific time for a specific purpose. And many of them will use even social media, but they're actually using it for business purposes, for what they're doing to impact their lives in the world. But for the most part, majority of people, they don't realize how much time they're unfortunately wasting when it comes to those mindless activities that they're doing on a regular and daily basis. Another thing can be sometimes difficult for many people, but it has to do with delegation. Just like, for the most part, in the Bible, when Jesus had disciples, it was because he basically said, take this message, the gospel, the good news, and take it to all the world, right? And so he delegated to take this gospel, the good news, to his disciples to then make disciples themselves. The same thing happens like with myself for that matter. I have employees, and why do I have employees? Why do I have different businesses with different teams and different people in responsibility? And really what it comes down to is because for my overall goal to change and impact a community, I need people to do certain things because I can't do those and other things at the same time. But delegation can come in many different forms. Find people who are passionate about what you need done and basically put them in charge of helping you to move towards your goals, but in the same sense, gifting them the ability to move towards theirs as well. What I mean by that is many times we're surrounded with people who really have gifts and talents that perhaps we don't. Or even if we do have those things, perhaps we have other things. And so by delegating to other people, even if it costs, can sometimes have a greater reward, not just for us, but the people who are also doing the works. And now what's nice about the internet age is really the fact that there are now online organizations and companies that you can delegate different tasks to people all over the world. So whether it be perhaps a virtual assistant to be able to help you sort through emails and take care of certain things, maybe it's an online bookkeeper, or perhaps it's somebody on Upwork or Fiverr that you can hire to create that flyer you need for a garage sale, or whatever the case may be. There are people now around the world who have gifts and talents and who love to do certain things that can do that for you, and oftentimes at a minimal expense, but it's rewarding to you because that just gave you the time that you really wanted to maybe spend time with your family or do something that you really want to do, or go on a vacation, because now you're still being productive even though it's not you doing that. Something else that many people find to be helpful when it comes to managing their time is to be able to set those goals, set those timelines, and then to reward yourself when you accomplish those different things. So I'm going to study this for a half hour, and then I'm going to do this for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. Or I'm going to accomplish this, this, and this, and then once I do that, then I'm going to take my lunch break for an hour and a half, and then I'm going to do this, this, and this. You see, the point being is that have those incremental timelines and then have those rewards, and for many people, they find that to be very successful for them to not only stay focused, get those breaks, reward themselves, so then that way they're getting that sense of accomplishment multifold instead of feeling always behind, pressured, and like you just aren't able to get things done. Always remember that your time is one of the greatest assets that you have in this world. And so as you hone this in and you start to establish these good, healthy habits, from goal setting to your morning and evening routines, to writing, thank yous and having an attitude of gratitude and recognizing the many blessings that we have in this life, to managing even our time. These are the things that are going to help you to have a lasting impact, not just in your life, but in the lives of the people who you love and who love you as well. Again, I'm Dr. Joel Feeman, here to do whatever I can to empower you with truth and knowledge so that you can live the most fulfilled, healthy, productive life possible. Until next time, God bless.